This is the person who probably made the most impact in my life and is probably the person who is responsible for me being here in front of you today. John J. McKay was my advisor at Ohio State. He was my thesis and dissertation director. I had just come into Columbus, and I had just graduated from UB. Didn't have a lot of money. Didn't know how I was going to pay for graduate school. I had applied for a teaching assistantship, and John saw something I didn't see, and he said, I want that kid. And I became a TA teaching the equivalent of COM 250. Back over at Ohio State, it's COM 105. We taught 5 days a week. We were on a quarter system. 2 days were lectures. We'd put about 800 to 900 students into the mass lectures. And then Tuesday, Thursdays, we'd be in little groups of 20 or so giving some speeches. I walked in there expecting to get a master's degree in broadcast management. I came out a college professor. And the reason why that happened is because this guy essentially said to me, think about this. I was very fortunate. People took an interest. John put me in charge of the course as his associate. And I'm in charge of the course. There were something like 30 grad students, and it was my job to supervise them, keep them on point through the semester. But professionally, the most important thing he did for me was to have me lecture with him every week. First, he would be up on the stage with me, and then he let me go solo, lecturing to 800, 900 OSU students. The kinds of things we talk about in our little group sessions, I had to do in front of all these students. I learned there that I liked it. But something else happened. The students told me they liked it too. You know, the imprint happened both ways. And it's the students way back, decades ago in Columbus, who now have gone off to all their careers and all the things they do. Those students who took the time to say to this kid from Cheektowaga, you can do this, those students, with John, convinced me that maybe I should think about something else. That's his daughter, Elizabeth, and she's now a young woman, a mother, and all that kind of business. This photo was taken circa 1972, excuse me. And, the imprints of the people, faculty friends, you know the story real well. We are making imprints on young lives. We are helping people to think and achieve. Those of you who are in the business world know every day you have the opportunity to do this. My advice is please do it. Take the time. Do the things you do. Because what happens is if you're really, really lucky, you will have a lifetime of joy from students. That joy comes from so many different places, so many different things. Being a teacher means, among other things, I have to follow copyright. Okay? So you see there's a credit. I wanted to use this strip, and so I called the company that distributes this, ultimately sent them a little note telling what we're going to do, and they sent this warm and lovely letter back saying, use it with Lynn's love. So Lynn Johnston, who did this series for 25, 26 years called For Better or For Worse, she wraps up the strip about 2 years ago, and now they're running it again in real time. 25 years tracing a family in real time. So last December, we're at the point in the strip where young Michael is going to school. Young Michael is, like a lot of kids, kind of crazy. He'd rather entertain the class than get down to business. Dad says, oh, wait a minute, I know Michael's a good guy, but he feels like you're picking on him. The teacher's name is Mrs. Hardacre. Isn't that a great name? Mrs. Hardacre. And Mrs. Hardacre says, well, of course I'm picking on him. You know why? I wouldn't bother if I didn't think he had potential. Teachers care. We have limited time. We want you to succeed. But if you don't reciprocate, you don't let us know what's going on, we move on. There are other people who need us. Don't be the person who's been left behind. If someone isn't pushing you, picking on you, if someone isn't pushing you, you got to find out why. Because the people who push you are the people who love you. And the people who love you are the people who want you to succeed. And the people who want you to succeed are the ones who will be the most proud of you when you do. Right? That's what it is. So, thank you, Lynn. She got her credit. It's important. But also, it's important that we're able tonight to use her wisdom in the context of what we're trying to talk about. Clearly, I've been blessed. There are people here from many of the schools I've taught at before. Some people from the school I recently taught at FLCC. I've been at Ohio State. I've been at Humboldt State University. I've spent a good deal of time at Buff State. A large number of guys here from my college fraternity, whereas their advisor, are here. The place I love, the place I've been longest, 29 years here at Fisher. And most recently, a semester at Finger Lakes Community College, which was just a great experience. A former student of mine, Rick Cook, is their department chair in communication, and he gave me a call and said, "Can you teach a summer class?" I teach a fall class, rather. He did it in the summer, and I said, "Sure," and it was a lot of fun. We started with 18, we got down to 10. A lot of them dropped. At FLCC, you can drop a lot later than we can here without academic penalty. And Matt, remember what happened the night when everybody was gone? One night we went from 16 to 10. I don't know where the other 6 went. They might have figured, uh-oh, I don't think I'm going to get a good grade with this guy. But we had 10 really, really sharp people, one of them here tonight. And you know that what happened in that experience is they touched me, I think I touched them, and we had, thank you, and we had an experience that was phenomenal. So what does this mean? Where are these places? Well, you know, Columbus, Ohio, get a Mac. Columbus, Ohio, say, Arcata is way up here. And I lived way over there in Cheektowaga, so I was at the other end of the country. By the way, Arcata is not Beach Boys music. We didn't surf up there unless you were in wetsuits because it was so cold. It's closer to Oregon. Okay? The football team is called the Lumberjacks. Okay? You know? So, I mean, it was not, you know, I knew that was coming, but I didn't expect dark, dank, and rainy all the time. You know? So coming to Buffalo was like relative sunshine, you know. Buff State, 5 years there where I had a wonderful trip with lots of fine people. Fisher, yay. And then, yes, you can do that. And then, of course, the time at Finger Lakes. And so there's a little map. And here's what's coming. In case you wonder where Chattanooga is, it's on the border awfully close between Tennessee and Georgia. Atlanta is just a hop, step, and a jump away, and it's the next chapter for me down in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The house is being built as we speak, and it's moving along a lot faster than I thought. And when you're building a house 900 miles away, there are a lot of imprints, trust me. You know? So we're in the process of doing that. The truth is my lifetime of joy came from you and the people like you. A whole life of teaching. We'll spin a few things. When I was right out of grad school, I was the resident counselor. My college fraternity, I was in a fraternity at Ohio State, at University of Buffalo, and it was Sigma Phi Epsilon. It was a Sig Ep at UB, and fortunately for me, the administration was looking for a house mother. And they were progressive enough to say, well, you know, we're going to try an experiment. We'll put some grad students in. So some of the sororities, some of the fraternities were able to put in grad students. I was fortunate. I was one of the ones chosen. Spent 4 years there. I wrote my master's thesis and my dissertation while living in the house. Okay? Truthful. truthful. These were not a guy, and one of the reasons why I can tell you that, these were not guys who beat each other up. These were not guys who did all that horrible stuff that you hear about. These were guys who truly, truly had respect for each other. And I was fortunate because, as it turned out, I got to see them and work with them. And I learned how to counsel, how to listen, how to be apart from these guys. This is 1970. You can do the math. Look how they're all about your age. You know, think about that. We have doctors. We have people who are administrators at schools and universities. We have a couple of surgeons. We have 3 veterinarians. We have a couple of men who died in Vietnam. We have a lifetime on that screen. And none of us knew it when that picture was taken. You're in the same boat. My undergraduates, people I care about, people I love, you're in the same place. Your life is going to unfold. You will someday find a picture like this and go, wow, what happened? Hopefully, what happened is a great story. And hopefully, you've got all sorts of wonderful stories to tell. By the way, you know, there I am. The only guy in a shirt and tie because I was a counselor. You know, I wouldn't be in any of this kind of stuff. And I had a wonderful time with those guys. California was a big jump for me. And I learned a lot of things from people like the folks on the screen. The 3 women, Jill Simon, Bev Perry, Bev Johnson, are all anchors and reporters on television stations to this day. Writers, wonderful things, terrific life. The gentleman, the guy who's smart between the 2 women, he's no fool. Okay? John Diaz, many of my students know him because we've referenced him. John Diaz is the editor of the editorial page of the San Francisco Chronicle. In an age where we worry about ink on paper, in an age where we think about what new media will be, he is the prime mover on their initiative to get a much broader distribution through multiple platforms on that paper. The guys on the right, Chris Broderick on top, Doug Williams on the bottom there, those guys are both writers, sports writers, who lost their jobs as part of the cuts. Doug is still looking. Chris landed on all fours. He's now vice president of communications for Portland State University in Portland, Oregon. He did well. Followed his dream. Doug will. He'll find it. Ryan in the center is involved in teaching. Guy on the top is Tim Heine. Tim was one of my students who his dream was to get in the entertainment business. He formed a company called United Entertainment. He has clients on the likes of Kevin Costner and his band, Cinderella, somebody called Mr. Big, and I don't know who that is. Your radio guy is Mr. Big, E-I-G-G, I don't know. But he's over in Osaka, Japan right now doing a benefit. He sent me an email to share with you. He said, I wish I could be here. He thanked me, and he wished you lots of love and lots of blessings. Tim had all the trappings in the world. He visited his lawyer one day. It was a Memorial Weekend in 2005. The lawyer had just won a successful case against a wife abuser. The abuser broke into the house with a shotgun, killed Tim's wife, killed the lawyer, and shot Tim 6 times and left him for dead. A lot of people would be destroyed by that. Tim got involved in the gun control movement. A couple of years back, he was awarded a special award from the Brady Foundation. He gave a speech that I use in my Com 250 classes. You folks have seen it. Tim talks about the importance, the necessity of removing violence from our lives. He speaks from the heart about his children who were his support system. And he talks to future generations, hoping that what happened to him, his family, his friend, will never happen again.